Exposing the truth about big oil's grip on power? That's either a one-way ticket to the VIP room at Mar-a-Lago or a mysterious ride in a van at midnight with the windows blacked out. Y'all stick around to see which one of those I get. Welcome to another episode of Fractured Climate, where we dig into the policies that are tearing at our planet's future. Today we're going to be exposing the Trump administration's dangerous energy agenda, a policy that's tied to big oil and gas, and it's risking America's environment, our economy, our global standing. President Trump and his cabinet are waging war on green energy, especially wind power, while doubling down on fossil fuels. Is their stance based on facts or fueled by industry cash and climate denial? Buckle up for a deep dive into the key players, the policies, and the truth about the overall energy policy and their Don Quixote approach at tilting at wind turbines. Let's examine the facts, shall we? Donald Trump has made one thing clear. He's all in on fossil fuels. His campaign slogan, "Drill, baby, drill," isn't just rhetoric. It's a policy blueprint. In July of 2025, Trump issued an executive order suspending clean energy projects on federal lands and slashing renewable energy subsidies. He promised to cut energy prices in half by flooding the market with oil and gas, claiming it's the key to economic growth and national security. But here's the catch. The U.S. is already a net energy exporter, producing record high oil since 2019. So why the obsession with fossil fuels? Follow the money. Reports from Open Secrets show Trump raked in a cool $75 million from oil and gas donors in 2024 alone. At a Mar-a-Lago meeting last summer, Trump reportedly promised to gut environmental regulations for $1 billion in campaign cash. Now, it's just a matter of time before somebody blows the whistle on this and exposes this administration's ownership is actually big oil and gas cartels. And his cabinet, it is stacked with industry insiders who've built their careers on oil and gas. Let's meet the key players driving this backwards fossil fuel agenda. First up, Don Burgum, the new Secretary of the Interior. As North Dakota's governor, Burgum turned the state into an oil and gas powerhouse during the Bakken shale boom. He's a billionaire tech entrepreneur who sold his tech company to Microsoft for a cool $1.1 billion. But don't let that fool you. He is no green innovator. Burgum leased his family's land to oil companies and hosted VIP dinners for executives like Harold Hamm, the oil tycoon behind Continental Resources. Emails uncovered by the Associated Press show he catered to big oil's every whim. Now, as Interior Secretary, Burgum chairs the National Energy Dominance Council, overseeing 500 million acres of federal land. His first move, a memo requiring his personal approval for any wind or solar project. That's not energy dominance. That's fossil fuel favoritism. Next, meet Chris Wright, Trump's pick for Energy Secretary. Wright is the CEO of Liberty Energy, a fracking giant that's made him a fortune. With a mechanical engineering from MIT, you'd think he'd embrace innovation, but instead he's a vocal climate denier. In 2024, on a LinkedIn video, he claimed there is no climate crisis and dismissed renewables as unreliable. Wright has donated hundreds of thousands to Trump and the GOP, and he's also the vice chair of Burgum's Energy Dominance Council. His mission? Restart LNG exports, deregulate fossil fuels, and sideline wind and solar. This isn't science. Again, it's loyalty to all of the fossil fuel kingpins. Now let's move over to the EPA. Lee Zeldin. He is the new EPA administrator. As a former New York congressman, Zeldin earned a dismal 14% rating from the League of Conservation Voters for his anti-climate votes. While he was in office, he pocketed a cool $150,000 from oil and gas PACs and fought against clean energy policies like the Inflation Reduction Act. Now he's tasked with protecting our environment, but his track record suggests he'll prioritize polluters over the planet, rolling back rules on emissions and green energy programs, doing the bidding again of the fossil fuel kingpins. And finally, there's Harold Hamm. He's not a cabinet member, but he's a major player. As CEO of Continental Resources, Hamm's a fracking pioneer and one of Trump's biggest donors. He's been spotted at Mar-a-Lago a lot of times and hosted post-inauguration events with oil trade groups. Hamm's influence ensures Trump's policies keep big oil's profits flowing, even if it means stalling the clean energy revolution. These, my friends, are not neutral policymakers. They're industry insiders with a clear agenda. Keep America hooked on fossil fuels, no matter the cost. Now let's tackle the heart of Trump's anti-green crusade, his Don Quixote approach to wind turbines. Trump has called them bird killers, whale destroyers, and unreliable eyesores. His cabinet echoes this sentiment, with Burgum questioning their reliability and Wright dismissing them as not lily-white clean. But is this stance grounded in reality? It's not. Now let's break down the truth about wind turbines and why Trump's team is dead wrong, as they are on most green energy policy. And to those who are bird-brained enough to believe their tripe, what does that say about your ability to think and reason on your own without your taskmasters telling you what and how to think? For me, I take no money from no group, not big oil, not big gas, no environmental groups. I'm a free-thinking scientist with the ability to do basic math. Taking money to protect anything that's harmful is wholly un-American. Period. So first, let's look at the environment. Wind turbines produce zero greenhouse gas emissions during operation. In 2024, U.S. wind power avoided 250 million metric tons of CO2. That's darn good. Compare that to fossil fuels, which account for 22% of U.S. emissions from federal lands alone. Trump claims turbines kill whales, but NOAA's own study in 2024 found no link between offshore wind and whale deaths. Zero. What about birds and bats, you might ask? Well, yes, they happen. Between 500,000 and 1.4 million birds and bats annually. But cats, domestic cats, kill up to 4 billion birds a year, and nary a whimper from those on the right. And the fossil fuel industry infrastructure destroys habitats and pollutes the air, killing 8 million people, that's human beings, annually from pollution. What is more important, a hoot owl or grandma? Wind's impact is a drop in the bucket, and mitigations like radar systems and blade painting are reducing their impact on wildlife like birds and bats. Now let's talk about the economics. Economically, Trump's team claims wind drives up energy costs. Wrong again. Wind is one of the cheapest energy sources today, with costs as low as $26 per megawatt hour compared to $40 to $80 per megawatt hour for natural gas. In 2024, wind employed 120,000 Americans and attracted $80 billion in investment. Trump's promise of $2 a gallon gas is a fantasy. Global markets, not deregulation and certainly not drilling, set the prices. And if you think the oil cartels aren't going to rake in any extra profits by keeping gas prices high, then you're simply dumber than a box of rocks. Meanwhile, fossil fuel subsidies cost U.S. taxpayers upwards of $100 billion a year in direct subsidies to the companies and things like protecting the oil and gas lines and the waters in the Persian Gulf with our military. Wind doesn't just save money, it creates jobs and drives economic growth. More importantly, it allows the USA to achieve real energy independence, not just a casual campaign slogan uttered at a political rally. Wind does not need to be imported from any other country on the face of the earth. You just capture it with a wind turbine and make power. No tankers, no pipelines, no oil rigs, no trucks, no big tanks in the ground on every corner in every big city in America. Just let it spin. Now let's talk about the reliability myth. Burgum and Wright call wind intermittent and a blackout risk, but modern grids handle this with storage. 13,700 megawatts deployed in 2024 alone. And hybrid systems, they exist with solar or gas. Texas, who is a fossil fuel giant, gets 20% of its power from wind, and the grid is holding strong. The real risk? Sticking with fossil fuels while the world races to renewables, with China leading in wind capacity. Trump's team is betting on the past, not the future, and they are risking our national security and our position as a world leader while they do it. This is not sound policy. It's a risky position, gambling the fundamental foundation of our nation while lining the pockets of the ultra-rich and powerful oil kingpins. So why is this administration's energy policy so dangerous, you might ask? It's not just about wind turbines, it's about our planet, our economy, our national security, and our future as world leaders. Climate change is real. There is not a person watching this video with a single piece or even a tiny shred of scientific evidence that can prove otherwise. And I'm sure I will get comments that are insults and asserted conclusions based on the delusional thinking of people who have no scientific background. That's why YouTube created this little thing called the block feature. And you can be sure those comments will get you blocked. I welcome discourse. I welcome factual information. Back any comment you make to the contrary of this video with facts, or don't make a comment at all. I do not welcome asserted conclusions, and I will not take hearsay talking points. On the contrary to all of this, the only scientific evidence that we have available concerning climate change points to its reality and our course toward our own destruction should we continue to bury our heads in the sand over this simple and easy to understand issue. There is not a single observation station on Earth that has been operational since 1960 that does not show some level of warming in temperatures. I can prove that 1,000 times. You name the station, if it's been taking weather observations since 1960, I'll guarantee you that the climate will show that it's been warming at that single point on the face of this Earth. In 2024, the global average temperature hit an increase of 1.5 degrees Celsius. That's almost 3 degrees Fahrenheit higher than the 1960 global average, fueling 150 billion in U.S. weather disasters and over 200 deaths, possibly more. And just last month, if you'll remember, flash floods in Texas claimed 135, again, maybe more victims, due to massive rains from a mesoscale convective system that formed faster than any similar event observed in history. The Guadalupe River rose 26 feet, that's 8 meters, in just 45 minutes. Nothing like that has ever been recorded in history. Trump's team denies the crisis, with Wright saying there's no climate emergency and Burgum pushing unproven and extremely expensive tech like carbon capture over proven scientific solutions like wind. That begs the question, why in the fresh hell do you need to capture carbon if it's not a problem? Hey, Mr. Burgum, I think you're a duplicitous wretch and you know nothing about science. I'll cover that in another video. This is not just bad policy, it's a betrayal of science and progress. Globally, renewables are the future. The International Energy Agency projects wind and solar will supply 50% of the world's electricity by 2050. By halting clean energy project, Trump risks ceding leadership to China, where they are investing billions in green tech year after year. And let's talk about our own national security. Renewables reduce our reliance on volatile oil markets and foreign dictators. Trump's energy dominance is a mirage that keeps us tethered to a dying industry that's still controlled by OPEC, no matter how much he insists that we drill, baby, drill. Anyone who denies that is either living in a fantasy world or buried deeply in the hip pocket of oil tycoons like Harold Hamm. Either of those places is a dangerous place to be, in my opinion. Think about the hip pocket of Harold Hamm. Ooh, scary. So what can we do? First, get informed. The data is clear. Wind and solar are cheaper, cleaner, and more sustainable than fossil fuels. And please, share this video to spread the truth. Second, support clean energy initiatives in your local area. Communities across America are building wind and solar farms and creating jobs. Join them. There is zero the Trump administration can do to stop private progress. That would be a violation of the Commerce Clause of the United States Constitution. And I can guarantee you any such efforts would not hold up in court. Third, hold leaders accountable. Call out politicians who take oil money and push for policies that prioritize profits over people. Trump's team wants us to believe fossil fuels are our only path to prosperity. Well, they're dead wrong. Clean energy is already powering homes, cutting costs, and saving lives. We can't let, we will not let a handful of industry insiders derail our future and endanger the security of our nation because they want more money in their pockets. And they want to continue to hold the puppet strings of those that we elect. This is Fractured Climate, and we've just exposed how the Trump administration's energy policy is built on big oil's influence, not facts and not what is best for America. Doug Burgum, Chris Wright, Lee Zeldin, and their allies are steering America toward a dirtier, costlier, and riskier future. But we have the power to change course without them. Wind energy isn't perfect, no, but it's a proven solution that is saving the planet and our wallets. Let's demand policies that embrace the future, not cling to the past. Thanks for watching, and if you found this expose eye-opening, hit that subscribe button, like the video, ring the notification bell, and watch out for more Fractured Climate. Join Jim's EV Adventures over on Facebook. Drop a comment there with your thoughts. Also join me on X and Instagram. What's the biggest energy issue in your community? Let me know. And check the description for sources and ways to get involved. Together we can build a cleaner, stronger America. I'll see you next time on Fractured Climate, and I urge you to keep driving electric. Do whatever you can to stop burning stuff. Each small action that you take, each small action that I take, can grow into a giant movement with unstoppable momentum. See you guys all real soon. Thanks for stopping by.